Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Saturday morning D&D show. My name is Jordan, with a silent PH in the middle, and I am joined always by my wonderful co-host, Sir Lucien, over there at Sir Lucien Gaming. Say hello, sir.
Good morphing, everybody. PH in the middle of morning there. That's going to be my new thing, I
Oh,
think.
man, but it's silent. It's all silent.
Yeah.
All those people on the internet who are like, Jorphdan, and they think they're so funny, and I'm like, you're just saying my name wrong. Like, it's not a joke. I don't know. I don't get it. But
Yeah, it's in my head. It always reads Jorphdan. I can't stop it from doing it. I always say Jordan, but I always read it as that.
Yep. It was a poor marketing scheme, let's be honest. But I'm stuck with it for the time being until I do a crazy brand re-flavor of some
Which
kind.
Seems like might be on the horizon, I've heard. I've seen some.
Yeah, I was thinking of getting rid of Forgotten Realms Explained and in favor of just my name, because I'm doing like more. Like, I want to do like Planescape and Eberron. Like, I've already branched out from Forgotten Realms, so I'm not really Forgotten Realms Explained anymore. And I originally named the channel Jordan with a PH because I wanted it to be that as opposed to the channel of Forgotten Realms Explained. So I'm like, I don't know, but I'm still tinkering around with different logos and what have you, and working with people and stuff. So we'll see if something happens with that. But anyway, we are a Dungeons and Dragons talk show podcast, and we talk about all things Dungeons and Dragons, and usually just role-playing games in general. I noticed we both got our Gen Con badges, Mr. Lucien.
We did, and our excitement level is rising because we're like within almost a month at this point, with 30-ish days-ish. I mean, because it's right at the end of July.
August 1st is when I fly out.
Yeah.
So I think the actual shenanigans begin the day before August 1st, Wednesday. Like Wednesday night, they have stuff that goes on. And then Thursday is the actual start of that. And unfortunately, that's when I'm flying in. So I won't get into Indianapolis until like mid-afternoon. But still enough to meet up with some friends and catch a couple of panels and things like that.
Which
and
is
I'm
better
getting
than last year.
Super hyped.
You came in on Friday last year, or was it Thursday night?
I couldn't get the time off work, so I came in, or was it Thursday night? I think it was Thursday night, but I was supposed to be there Thursday afternoon. But my flight got delayed. So hopefully my flight doesn't get delayed this time. Knock on wood. But man, really excited for Gen Con. Just more and more cool people I know are going, or I now know more cool people on the internet. So I'm really excited to like see people and play games and lots of RPGs. I got into a couple of Dungeon Crawl Classics games that I'm really excited for. So and then just walking the floor and having fun and hanging out with you in real life. It's amazing.
Be good. A meetup. We might try to do something for the Saturday morning show.
We really should.
While
even
we're
if
there,
maybe test. They said they're going to have Wi-Fi in the convention center, but I don't know if that's going to be Wi-Fi we can, like, streamable Wi-Fi that we could do from a laptop or something. But maybe we'll test it out and see. Last year we didn't do anything because my phone had no cell service and you were busy DMing a bunch of games. But this year maybe we can do something. So
no DMing. I just got my badge and my wife asked, "So what company is paying for you to go this year?" And I said, "Nope. This year, I have not volunteered for any games to DM. This year is like a free schedule for me just to go and play."
Good.
Because it is super fun to go and DM for a lot of these companies. Like I've done Magpie and Monty Cook are the two that I've helped out. Every year I've gone, and it was amazing and awesome, and you get good stuff, and you meet lots of really cool people. But it is 4-hour chunks out of your day. And sometimes if you do a back-to-back session, that's like 8 hours of role play just all at once. So that can be pretty intensive. And then if you go help at a booth or something. So this year I was like, I'm just going to go and have fun. And I think I'm going to tackle a majority of new board game demo stuff. I think I want to get into some of the new cool board games. So I'm going to do a few, like I'm going to show up with general tickets to a couple of your games and say, "Hey, do you got an open seat?" If they say yes, I might jump in because I don't want to like pre-buy anything. Because I don't know, at some point, maybe the show just before Gen Con, we should do a full Gen Con only show where we talk about the things that we think are weird about Gen Con, the things that we think are great. Because like you were buying tickets or you were trying to schedule and you were having trouble and then you're trying to organize. I think a lot of people that might be useful for people that have never gone.
Well, I just got late to the game. Because I ordered my tickets late and I didn't really understand how it works. So this year I got all of my stuff ahead of time. or I like it opened up for me to purchase things. I had a wish list and I purchased my wish list and I got roughly like 40% of them. So I just kind of knew how. It literally took me a year, but I figured out how to do the Gen Con game now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And maybe we can do a show that'll help somebody, because that's what happened to me. I knew nothing, and it took me going a year to realize, oh, this is what's going on, and this is how you should think about doing things. And because I had you can't just show up and just know what's going on. It doesn't make any sense when you get there at first. So.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Having your badge early is just that's so good. But it was fun standing in the line too. But okay, D&D show,
Gen Con, blah 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 blah.
Or maybe we'll do like a Monday night show or a Wednesday night show or something. We'll do one of the off.
Yeah, we should. I think I have something. I think I left Saturday morning open, but I had somebody contact me to play a game. So I might have to be like, listen, I need to step away for like an hour to do. Oh wait, but our show doesn't start because we're on the East Coast, so it'll start at noon. Okay, yeah, we can maybe make this work. I think we can do this. All right. Anyway, we'll see.
So on to the news.
What's going on in the world of Dungeons and Dragons?
Not a ton. We're in that lull between the last book has just been released. Although we've had a lot of cool releases, like D&D Essentials is on the shelves that people have been finding.
Have you picked it up or?
I didn't go to Target yet. I keep thinking I want to, but I haven't yet. Because I almost want to buy it from my regular game store, not Target.
But that's not going to be till like September, October.
yeah, true. So I'll probably get it before that. But and so we're in the in between. Ghost of Saltmarsh is out, and you're playing that, and we talked about that last week. The great stuff that's going on there, and then everything's still building up to Descent to Avernus. So that's the next thing, and they're kind of in the middle. We did get a couple of lore you should know videos I noticed on the Dungeons & Dragons. We didn't get a D&D news, so I don't know what Greg Tito was doing this week, because normally we get one. Or they didn't post it, and I missed it live. But they did lore you should know, Strange Fiends. And it was funny because they were talking about, like, most of the time when you're talking about Descent into Hell, you're thinking of your demons, devils, aboleths, and all these other typical fiends that you might get that are the more popular ones. But they wanted to kind of highlight the Rakshasa, the night hags, and the succubi as some different fiends. So you can get some cool stuff there. There was some stuff I didn't realize, like the Rakshasa. I never realized they were talking about the hands are reversed on a Rakshasa. Did you ever notice that in the drawings?
No. Left is right and right is left?
Yeah. And they bend differently than ours. So ours bend... Our has mostly been this way, though we can bend it a little bit that way. Theirs is the opposite of that. So it's like having reverse hands. So it was like really weird, and that's how the drawings were. So I talk a little bit about
they're a weird monster. I was kind of looking them up before our show started. That I knew they were fiends, but their art doesn't make them look like fiends. Like, I wonder where that came from. It must have been an old first edition something or other. But I always just thought that was really weird.
Well, if you listen to the video, they talk pretty good about where it comes from. It's a mythology. It wasn't a D&D monster created. They grabbed it from mythology. But the one thing he said that I thought was interesting is that they want to keep it, or they made a mistake in 4th edition where they turned them into more like just tiger people.
Yeah.
Whereas that's more like the were-tiger. So there are tiger people, which are the were-tigers that look like that. But the Rakshasa are definitely different. Immortal, the opposite hand thing, fiends. So
when they die, they go back to the 9 hells, kind of a thing. Yeah.
So very interesting. I thought, well, at some point maybe I'll have to throw one of them in my game. That'd be pretty cool. Night hags are always really good. I think there's especially the Wizards of the Coast groups. Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins like using hags in their games, so you always see those are very prevalent in a lot of the campaigns they run, and then succubi. Then the other cool lore you should know that they had was the Ac Inc. lore you should know. So they talk a little bit about Acquisitions Incorporated. And Chris Perkins mentions something I didn't even really realize, that when they started the podcast, the land they were in 4th edition when they started it.
Yeah.
And he talks a little bit about, the hows and the whys, but that they were in a land that tied into a very specific adventure, the Castle Dragon Spear adventure that they had just put out. So it's interesting that the land kind of grew up of that. But then he talks about there was a meeting when they had 5th edition where they said, we're going to make Forgotten Realms the main kind of
the
one
setting
of the main
for 5th edition. Yeah.
So they had to transition that party to the new Forgotten Realms, and that's how they became a multiverse, and they traveled different worlds. And so there was a lot of stuff in there that was interesting for him to say that I didn't know. And I've watched the show, like I've watched the live shows, and I've kept track of quite a bit of the different pieces, but I still learned something watching that. So if you're a big Ack Inc. fan, and we've been reading your book, I've been reading my book. My brain has been a buzz with if I could do like a very office style campaign or a community college kind of campaign where you just do really crazy corporate stuff. And I just think it'd be really funny if you had the right group of players that bought into it.
Yeah.
And they talk about why they chose the humor.
I want to do a game, an Acquisitions Incorporated game. Actually, I just lost my complete train of thought. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was going to say. But I've been reading the Acquisitions Incorporated game. Sorry. I'm thinking back to what you were saying earlier, how they didn't start in the Forgotten Realms. And now this book very much is in the Forgotten Realms. And reading through the book, it's reminding me that I really want to listen to, and I don't know where I'm going to find the time to get through all of it, but the C Team, because there's lots of references to the C Team, because that's where like the meat and potatoes of Acquisitions Incorporated has been fleshed out with Jerry Holkins as the DM. And I don't know. It's just kind of like, I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of the jokes and a lot of the inside stuff by not having listened to not having listened to the C Team. So
yeah, it's really good.
I actually played because Acquisitions Incorporated got me into D&D, and the starter set that they played not the starter set, but the beginning adventure they played as a 4th edition campaign, I actually was like, well, I want to play that one too. So I took that and ran through it and played that one with my players back when I was playing 4th edition. And it was a fun one. So I think it's like Keep on Shadowfell. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is that the one it was?
I think it is. I think that's the one they ran. But I mean,
He mentioned something about Dragon Spear. It had a dragon name because I thought it was a weird name because the new Essentials talks about Dragon Spire.
Oh, instead of Dragon Spear.
But that 4th edition adventure says Dragon Spear, and I had wondered about that. But maybe he misspoke, or maybe I misheard what he was saying. Maybe you're right. So
I don't know.
But that'd be kind of cool to go back and figure out what that module was, and maybe play that would be really fun. I think 4th edition rules. So, but it was cool. They talk about why they picked humor. They were adamant, like back when they started it, they really were of the mindset that we don't really think anybody would want to watch people play D&D. Like, people want to play D&D,
right?
But you're never going to get a group of people to sit and watch other people play, right? So they were really in that mindset, and they were talking about how if they made it more of a comedy show, then at least if they were sitting there, they would get a few laughs and then would go on, and that was it. It was more of like a comedy bit, not a running campaign, but more of like a comedy show. But they were really surprised at the reception that they got and how much it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So
I remember Scott
really
Kurtz was saying in a couple interviews, he's like, I get recognized at like gas stations. He's like, I'm filling up my car with gas and people are like, you're that guy from Acquisitions Incorporated. Cause they don't see his face as a cartoonist as a web cartoonist, you know? And so, but they do see his face when he's on these things, and he was blown away. He's just like, what? You watch that? Like,
yeah.
And then when they actually did the theater, because they were selling so many tickets that they sold out like a huge theater in Seattle for that. It was, because the early ones, it was just kind of like a room of maybe like 100 people, 200 people. And then all of a sudden they had like 3,000 people watching them. It's crazy to think about.
There's a brief mention of Will Wheaton in it. They talk a little bit about Benwyn Bronzebottom. They talk a little bit about Morgaine. And that's really the only people they talk about in that lore you should know. They don't really bring up any of the C-Team stuff in that video. It's more about the stuff that kind of kicks it all off and gets it started, kind of thing. So it's pretty cool. I think they'll add to your knowledge base. Even if you're a huge fan and you've been following this, I bet there's still some tidbit in there that you will go, oh, I didn't know that one thing. And if you have only been just now hearing about Acquisitions Inc., this is a great video to say, what is all this stuff that people talk about and what's going on and why? So that was pretty cool.
It really kicked off the whole streaming thing, didn't it? Like, I'm
Yeah.
just kind of thinking out loud now. Like, I was like, no, like, well, actually, there was another podcast I listened to that occurred around the same time as Acquisitions Incorporated, and that was called Critical Hit. And they're a 4th edition D&D podcast that I listened to for quite a while, and their DM Rodrigo is amazing. And that was a really good. So I recommend that if you're interested in a good 4th edition podcast. But yeah. So, but like that, ever since then, Critical Role came about and all these other things, and Acquisitions Incorporated got their live shows, and then the Twitch streaming thing took off, and it's just kind of, all the way up to Seeking Revonar, which is just like,
Which I think is cool. Nice, cool transition. No, they do not talk about the Deep Crow Indoor Adventure is asking. I think it's mostly about the stuff that the main team does. They don't really even get into anything that the C team.
That's why I need to listen to these C teams, which I have been. But in order to keep up with C team and Critical Role and my plethora of other podcasts, it's a lot of listening.
Here's a little trivia question for you, since you watched the original. Who is Omendron's god?
Timora, isn't it?
It is now, but that's a 5th edition deity.
Oh, what was it originally? 4th edition, goddess of luck or money. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah. It started with an A. It's not one I've heard of because I don't know any of the 4th edition pantheon that they were using for that world. I want to say something. I want to say as Shara, but that sounds like World of Warcraft just released that patch this week, so that's probably why that's in my head. But there's like an A name because he talks about them changing from. He had discussions with Jerry about what is the closest god in 5th edition that's going to match what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't Joaquin. Nope.
Yeah, I'm finding.
It starts with an A.
It starts with an A, and it's a 4th edition god.
4th edition. I'll have to go back to that video now and rewatch it just to find it out. We'll post it somewhere. Or chat. That's your homework for later on. Post it in the comments of the video. Tell us which one Jerry Hogan's god was. But while you're doing that, while you're still listening to us, moving on, I saw something that was pretty interesting.
I bet it's Avandra.
There you go. I knew you'd get it.
Avandra, goddess of change, freedom, and luck.
There you go.
That's probably what it is. Sorry, I had to interrupt. I was frantic Googling.
So, Stranger Things 3, July 4th, coming up, which we all know is next week. We get to see Stranger Things. Now, I'm a huge Stranger Things fan. I assume you are, right? You watch Stranger Things.
Yeah. I'm excited for the new season. It should be fun.
So I saw an article that was talking about each season kind of is represented in some way by a creature that they reference to the game, though it's not like a direct correlation. It's not like the actual Demogorgon from the game somehow comes to the world, but they call it the Demogorgon, and it's different. It's their version, or at least that's the name they give it. And then the second one, they give it a name to, like the I think it was the gibbering mouther or the big creature, or they were even saying a little bit of illithids, those kinds of things make their way into the second, and they use the terms a couple of times in the game. The speculation for season 3 is we might get a proxy for maybe an intellect devourer. I don't know if that spoils anything. I don't know if that's where it'll go, but I thought it'd be interesting that the Demogorgon isn't really the Demogorgon of the thing. It's like this flower-headed creature that can attack and come out of the one world into another and grab something and take it back. What would Jordan, if he's in that world, it's happening in Jordan's town of, some small town in Idaho that's a nice small bedroom community outside of a big town. You're playing D&D all the time. You start recognizing this stuff's happening. You're not going to call it a Demogorgon when you see it or you recognize what it's doing. What are you going to call it? What would be the D&D monster you would have called the first one? Just thinking of its abilities, thinking of the way it looks, putting them on the spot here. I was trying to think of what would my mind have jumped to, because I don't know, my mind wouldn't have jumped to Demogorgon.
It's got to be a humanoid because it looks humanoid, right? Like it's bipedal.
Yeah, it's got arms and legs. It's got like a flowery head, right? And so if you saw it running through the trees in the night and you would point to it, Jordan the DM, what would you say? Oh my God, that's a, in some ways, like I want to go plant wise. So I want to do like Vegapygmy, but it was too big to be a Vegapygmy.
Maybe it's a big
right?
Vegapygmy.
Yeah. But there was the Spinies, which are the big dogs that
Awakened
that
tree, awakened shrub. I don't know.
There
Corpse
go.
flower.
Like
that sounds like a good idea.
Ooh, that one's close.
I mean, I don't think it looks like a corpse flower, but that's corpse flower.
Yeah.
I mean, that I like the name. Myconid of some kind.
Could be
mushroomy person,
or what has a mouth that just opens up, even if it's not necessarily a flower, but like a mouth that just opens up and would slam down. So there's some more homework for all you in the show. Go through your monster manuals, go through your tomes of beasts, go through your Mordenkainens, go through your Volos, and see if you can find what would you have called that creature if you saw it streaking through the woods chasing down a deer, and be like, oh my god, they're real.
And it was interesting because in the Stranger Things show, it was the kids, their interpretation of this was they were trying to grasp the supernatural with the information they had, which was Dungeons and Dragons. And so like things like making it the Demogorgon, that was just the big bad guy they were fighting. And so it kind of made sense that it changed into this in the game. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. You put me on the spot. I'm not really sure. I'd have to do some serious.
I'll put it in the notes next time, not to just let you do your homework. But I just thought that'd be kind of cool. And then to think of, what would be season 2's kind of, or what would be seasons 3. So that'd be kind of fun. Maybe that's something we'll talk about as season 3 is going on after we binge watch it. Cause I binge watch the hell out of Stranger Things. Like I'm done in like 2 days with the show. We'll try to figure out what the creature is or what the big nemesis is, and what we would do with it. So I think that'd be kind of cool. So that's coming up July 4th. Keep an eye out on that. Should drop on Netflix, which is super cool. I did see now I threw this one in. I didn't know if this one would relate to you or not. It's called D&D Destiny that I kind of stumbled on. Mm-hmm. And Destiny is a computer game from Bungie that I played quite a bit, and Destiny 2 is out. And there's lots of cool stuff. I didn't know if you played that game. You know anything about it?
I have not played any Destiny. Sorry.
So it's a really cool, fun sci-fi take on an online game. It's sort of an MMO in some ways, a looter shooter in many other ways. Definitely really good graphics and a pretty cool lore about how there's only one city left on Earth, and we've gotten taken over, and all this kind of cool sci-fi stuff has happened. I mean, I like it as a game. I like it visually. I like the themes that it goes through. And if you go look at it, you might like just some of the artwork that they put out with it. Well, there's a group that was really interested in that, but they're also very interested because they just found in the last year or so Dungeons and Dragons, or at least it was the first time they played it, and they really got hooked. So of course, what happens with anybody that gets hooked with Dungeons and Dragons, they immediately want to smash it into the other things they like, because that's what we all do, right? Mm-hmm. We all want to grab things that we love and put them together with Dungeons and Dragons. So this is a version of the rules. I'm going to keep an eye on it. It's not out yet. They're play testing the rules, but there's hopefully a version of 5th edition that we could play some Destiny games in that world that I think was pretty cool. And it was a Kotaku article, so I'm sure it's one of those things that we'll see. And I think it's just going to be a free set, like here it is. They're not really putting it out or kickstarting it or anything like that. It's just going to be
probably can't, because they can't get the rights and stuff. So
I'm thinking, like you'd have to keep it on D20 at least.
Like it's just a free thing that somebody created that kind of circles around the internet. But that's kind of cool. And I like labors of love. I think that people who get really interested, like when I don't know, it reminds me of like Kids with Wands that I wrote. Yeah. Like I really like Kids on Bikes. I really like role-playing games. I like the Harry Potter world. Why don't we like smash them together and see what happens? So
love it.
And it's fun.
So that's out there. And then I did stumble on just this morning, there is a Humble Bundle out there. You can look up for D&D 5e supplements, or I think if you just type in, you'll go to the Humble Bundle website and look up Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Mm-hmm. They have a bunch of books. Now it's a bunch of books I hadn't heard of, so I don't know what the quality is on them, but usually for some of these things you spend like $5 and all of a sudden you get like 30 PDFs of whatever. Sometimes it's real books, sometimes it's PDFs, sometimes it's whatever. You have to look in the in the fine print of the article. But I thought, hey, if you're out there looking for 5e supplements, and it seemed like they're mostly geared towards beasts of bundle, they call it.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like it's a lot of stuff you can use to help flesh out the monsters and the creatures that you're going to put into your campaigns. So we're all dungeon masters here. We can always use cool things to throw at our players to make, get them surprised and thing like that. So you can check that out. That was the other thing I saw. So that was about it for news that I kind of scoured, unless you found something else out there that we didn't.
No, I was just going to ask if have you read the Acquisitions book yet, or are you still thumbing through it, or?
No, I pretty much read through it.
Okay. And then I guess we didn't get your thoughts last week on it. So I know we kind of talked about Acquisitions Incorporated lore you should know, but like, and you kind of want to run like an officey game, but is this something that you want to, I guess my question for you is the Acquisitions Incorporated book something that you want to take and run, like the adventure in it with the mechanics, or do you want to incorporate that into Seeking Revonar? Is this a whole new game? Is this something that you want to augment?
Yeah, this one for me is, I love it. I want to run it, but I don't think it fits with Revonar, Seeking Revonar. So I think it would definitely be its own campaign, because I would want to play it as a humor campaign, and I'd really want to bring out that corporate stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting here right now thinking about how the first session would go, where we bring in the new hires, the new interns, and we have them sit down and we go through a very corporate-like thing in Dungeons and Dragons, which I think would be just super fun. And I think I'd have to really pick the right players, because I know some players aren't going to thrive in that, but then other ones are going to dive right into it. There's going to be a certain group of players that are just be like, this is my kind of jam. I don't know. I want to play the adventure that's in there. So I did not read the adventure. I want to play in it. I want to use the book to run my own, not using their adventure, just because I have a million ideas based on shows that I love to watch, all of the seasons of Office, both the British and the American version. I work in a corporate, like full on stereotypical corporate. We have stand-up meetings and we talk about corporate values of the company. And we do all that stuff that I think would be so funny with other people that enjoy that kind of humor. So I think it would be something that I would run separate. I definitely want to do it. I think it's a fantastic book for that. And to really turn Forgotten Realms around upside down. And I'd want to do a really competing corporation, almost like Amazon has arrived in Forgotten Realms, and so has Google and some of these other big, and Facebook and these kinds of big corporate companies. And now they're starting to go to corporate war over who's going to be the megacorp, who's going to be the corp that owns it all, kind of thing. And just kind of go through a fun campaign like that. I think that would be really fun. So I love it. I love the artwork. I love the characters in there. I love the humor. If I could ever get in a game that's ran by Jerry Holkins, I would die a happy person, because I love the way he runs that game, and the way the C team goes is just so fun. So I think I really like it. Have you, now that you've kind of gone through it, is there anything you didn't like about it, or are you still just like you're full on loving the book, or what?
No, I do like it. I don't know if I'll run that adventure, because I like the book for different things. So to back up, I got my Strongholds and Followers book, for Colville's book, in the mail. And so I reread the hardback of that. And the thing I like about Strongholds and Followers is that you build this stronghold and you get benefits for having this stronghold. And Acquisitions Incorporated is kind of similar, where you build this business and then your specific character gets benefits if that business thrives and does well. And you do that in the form of like magic items or new proficiencies and things like that, and new abilities that your players get because of this company that you run. So I was thinking, hey, I want to take this idea of a company, and I really want my Ghosts of Saltmarsh players to like build a some kind of company in the town, like an adventuring company, and have hirelings and do a bunch of cool stuff. And I want to incorporate like strongholds and followers. Like maybe they get a shop in town, and we use like a tavern or something from strongholds, but it's actually their business headquarters and things like that. So I don't necessarily want to be on brand with Acquisitions Incorporated, but I want to take that idea of a business and utilize the skeletal framework from Acquisitions Incorporated into my game. Now I said that, and some of my players were kind of like, "Oh, I don't want to play like a goofy game." And so they were not like, they're like, that has its place, but they didn't want Ghosts of Saltmarsh to turn into this like silly goofy game. And I was like, no, I don't think I'm explaining myself well, because I also don't want it to be goofy, but there are some mechanical bonuses that you get by running a business that I think would be fun for you guys to have. And Ghosts of Saltmarsh is literally a collection of adventures. So it is, oftentimes it's a struggle for a DM to get the adventures to link up. And really the only thing is that, well, you guys go back to Saltmarsh, you spend a week there, and then somebody knocks on your door and says, my child is missing, help me, and it's like, that's your next adventure. So we'll see if I utilize this, but I do like the book. I think I like, and I don't want to say, Strongholds and Followers is a similar book in my opinion, in that, in the way I was describing it. And I want to utilize both to augment my players and to make them more powerful through having either followers, strongholds, or a business. So I don't know.
Yeah. Cause they're two books that really focus on the stuff that none of the other Dungeons and Dragons books have focused on, which is the downtime activities or the I'm not in a dungeon activity, right? All the other stuff that we've gotten, all the other books support the idea of you're on an adventure, you're in a dungeon, you're storming a castle, you're doing something, right?
And I want to stop you before people are on Twitter right now tweeting at you that Xanathar's Guide to Everything has a bunch of downtime activities.
Sure.
So.
Even that is like only a couple of pages, and it's loose rules. There's like, when you read that, did you all of a sudden say, I'm going to add all this to my campaign? Or you were kind of like, it was kind of meh.
No, I needed the right campaign. And I've actually reread those rules as well, because with Ghosts of Saltmarsh, they're going to have a week or 2 weeks of downtime in the middle of certain activities before their next adventure knocks on the door, so to speak, that, if they want to craft a magic item, if they want to do stuff like that, then it could really work. So I'm also going to try and utilize some of those, but, I don't know. It's, I never had a chance to use them before Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Like, I guess my players didn't really have a home base in Hot Springs Island. And because they don't have a home base, they don't really have a chance to do a lot of the downtime activities, I think. And there weren't like major cities to go and search for a magic item. There weren't, so that campaign was just a lot different. But Ghosts of Saltmarsh, they obviously can do a lot of those. So I think my mind is opening up to the potential possibilities that I can do with Ghosts of Saltmarsh and strongholds and followers and businesses and downtime activities and kind of explore that fun. Because I think in all the D&D games I've played, I've never really explored that kind of fun that people can be like, yeah, we're in a big town. You've got like 3 weeks before you have to like leave. What do you want to do? I don't know. Like, I want to marry a prince. Okay, let's roll some dice and see if you can marry a prince. Like,
and I think reading those two books, Ack Inc. and Strongholds and Followers, while you're reading them, your brain is exploding with, oh my God, I want to do these things, or I want my players to want to do these things, right? Whereas when I read Xanathar's Guide, my brain didn't explode with, I can't wait for my players to ask me about this stuff.
Right.
I can't wait to do it. It was like, oh, okay, here's some rules. Like, we could use those if it pops up. But the other ones are invoking like story ideas and things that are going on. Because I'm definitely, Strongholds and Followers is going to be a huge part of Seeking Revonar. In fact, they're in, we're coming up to when we start talking about the game, they're in a monastery at the moment, which I've already hinted to the players that they could clear it out, and this could become the basis of a stronghold.
Yeah.
That's further north and opens up further parts of the map that they haven't really been to yet. So but I don't know if they want to do that yet. They haven't really said if they want to build forts or temples or whatever they want to do. So we'll have to see how their group kind of goes. So, but I want strongholds and followers definitely infused in my book. And I'm building it up long enough away that hopefully we get mass combat rules also that they're going to do on their second Kickstarter, the MCDM people, Matt Colville and them, because eventually I would like to do a nice big war breaks out between some factions that they're starting to run into, and that could be pretty fun. I could devise some, and we've talked about, running mass combat, how we might do it now, but I'm also interested to see what these new books bring to the table and we could do with those too. So that's pretty cool. So that's about it for news. Other than that, it was just, regular old playing some Dungeons and Dragons throughout the week like we do just about every week. So that was pretty fun. Nothing, too out of the ordinary.
I guess so, but
as I bury the lead a little.
So for those of you who don't know, I had nothing to do on Monday, and Lucien was just like, why don't you be a special guest on my game? Like, roll up a character. So I have a kobold thief named Dirk, who's a little wishy-washy on his name. It seems like whatever weapon he does really well with, he might want to change his name to that weapon. I'm not sure. But so I was captured or something. So anyway, I was on Seeking Revonar as a special guest. It was a lot of fun. So
yeah. So our Monday night game, we'll jump into our games for the night. I thought it would be fun. As I was doing it, there was two things I was thinking I was going to present Jordan with, but I think I leaned towards, hey, why don't you make a character? Because just before that, you had posted about, hey, I have D&D Beyond and I've made 25 characters.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what, I should just have him come and just play a quick, one-off. He doesn't have to commit to the campaign or anything, just as a guest player for a night. I think that'd be kind of cool. But my other plan, and I still may do this down the road, is I thought about having you play the Cambion. The bad guy, the star bad guy, until you kill my party. I want you to try. Use everything you can with the Cambion's abilities.
Be as tactical as I can.
Use everything you think you can do. Kill them if you think you can, and just let you go after them. And I thought that was another thing. So somewhere down the line, I may set up that where I have guest people come in and play my bad guy for me, the big bad guy, and they can shout orders to their minions and they can use their abilities the way they want. And I'll give you, here's your motivations. Here's the things you're trying to accomplish. Here's what's bad for you or good for you. And then just let you just play the character and say, what happens. So I think that'd be pretty fun. But so Monday night, we're playing Seeking Revonar. This is my converted West Marches game. The team had decided to go up to a monastery have a beastmen that come out, roam out, steal villagers, and take them back. Nobody quite has figured out why yet, but that's happened. And so Jordan's character, Dirk, was part of an adventuring group that had went up to the monastery, but they got captured. And we don't know what's happened to his other companions, but he was the last one still chained to a wall with another farmer. And that's when our party finds them, unlocks his chains, and he kind of joins in on the fight. And so we have a pretty fun, epic fight. It's all done on Roll20. So we had dynamic lighting was going on, and we're using the Roll20 character sheets. And Dirk is just throwing out crazy amounts of damage. Because talk a little bit about your character and why you made and like some of the synergies you were trying to go with your character. Because I think
well, so I mean, rogues are fun, and Dirk is a rogue, and he's a kobold rogue, and kobolds have sunlight sensitivity, so they have disadvantage in direct light on attacks and perception checks and what have you, kind of like the drow and other creatures. But he also has pack tactics. Kobolds have pack tactics, so a lot of like druids might know this because certain wolves and stuff that you can turn into has pack tactics, so that you, if you're attacking somebody and you have an ally next to you, you get advantage on the hit. And that kind of counteracts the sunlight sensitivity if you're just smart about it. And then in certain situations, you can get advantage. And since rogues only get one attack per round, if you don't count bonus action offhand attack, getting advantage on that roll is kind of like crucial. So that was like mechanically why I wanted to build this kobold rogue. And then I was like, what if he's like a follower of Tiamat? And like, it got me thinking about like the Church of Tiamat and just like wealth. I think this is because of a podcast I listened to, but I always envisioned Tiamat as like a pyramid scheme church. Like there's the people up top who found other people to spread the word, and then they then have followers. And so Dirk, you the idea is that you work yourself up the ladder, and I think Dirk is and this didn't come out in your game, but this is just me overthinking my character.
Headcanon.
Yeah, headcanon. But Dirk is definitely working that chain, trying to acquire money and wealth to get up the ladder of the Church of Tiamat. So
yeah. It was pretty funny, and there was a moment in the game, and it was a hard fought. So what ends up happening is they get locked in kind of a smaller area as they're trying to find some prisoners and free them, and they get attacked by some beastmen, which in the game are equivalent to like minotaurs if you look up their stats. The players are 5th level player, a couple of 5th levels, a couple of 4th levels, 5 players. And so they have these pretty strong, beefy guys, and if they hit, they're going to hit pretty hard. And then we had a recurring villain show up. The Cambion and 2 Hellhounds show up to try to get one of the characters that they're in conflict with. And so we're in this fight. It's happening in a room. They're surrounded and can't really go anywhere in this big fight. And they're using every ability they can. They're using every advantage they can. Spell slots are being blown left and right. And my favorite part of the night was I roll a couple of really good rolls, and I hit a couple of players so hard they go down. And Jordan just looks at the camera and goes, "Lucien, what are you doing?" He thinks, this is it. This party is going down. They are not going to make it out. And yet they turn it around and they are able to win against a really formidable foe. And it was just really fun to see, just that whole thing. But I was just laughing when he was like, "What are you doing? You're going to kill your party." And I just thought it was great.
Yeah, no,
so
I had
really
to run.
fun.
I'm like, I'm out of here. Like Dirk's just like, I'm going to go in this other room. I'll like shoot with a bow or something, but like I can't take hits like that. And they were taking hits, going down, getting back up from that unicorn spirit, which that's a spell that I didn't know anything about. And I was talking about it with some of my patrons, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's like the dopest spell. Like it's so powerful." And I was like, "Oh no, it is." And I looked it up, and I'm just like, that's exactly how it works, and it's really really strong.
Yeah, usually that party goes even further because they get the healing spirit is out there, they get the unicorn totem is out, and then they're doing other stuff, and it's just like crazy amounts of healing is going on. It's almost like a video game at that point.
Yeah.
What they're doing. So, but it was really fun, and I can't wait to see what we're going to do on Monday. Now, it's a cliffhanger because Jordan has an open invitation to continue, although we already came up with if he's not free on Monday, that he's going to escort the villagers back to their village. He's going to volunteer and say, "Hey, I'm sneaky. I'm good at tracking through the forest. I'll keep them safe. I'll take them back to the village, and I'll go back to Port Bastion." Or if he's got a free Monday night, he can dive a little bit deeper because they got to the stairs that are about to go down into under this basically evil monastery. Definitely a la Diablo, if any of you play Diablo. So it's definitely influenced by that. So
yeah, we'll have to see. I'm leaning towards no because I'm busy and I'm going back to things, but I had a lot of fun and I kind of want to keep playing. I kind of want to see where this story's going. So,
and Dirk was good. Dirk was a great character. I love the voice. Everybody loved the voice. They loved the attitude that he had and the way they interacted. I thought it was fun. I'm just glad they didn't kill you, because every now and then this party comes across things that they just assume that they're like, "Oh, goblins, we just kill goblins. Kobolds, we just kill kobolds," because every other game they played in, those are the typical bad guys they have to fight at level 1.
Yeah.
So I was really curious to see
if they just stab me.
Am I going to invite you here and then they just shoot you and you're dead or whatever? And it's, "All right, thanks for showing up, Jordan."
You're like, "Yeah, that was real fun. Way to feel welcome."
So that was really fun. That had me really hyped in the beginning of the week because it went really well. About a 3-hour game. It's posted up on YouTube at this point. You can go watch it on the VODs. And it was pretty fun. The only sticking point was I definitely made a huge mistake when trying. I thought it'd be easier, but I don't know why. Because I wanted to surprise the party. The party did not know Jordan was joining. So we started our game out as normal. We have our normal overlay. We have our players are in the game because we're playing online for this game. And what I was going to do is I was going to say, "You see this kobold," and when they got close enough, and somebody says, "Well, wait a minute, he's awake," and he looks at you, I brought Jordan in on a camera. He just joined the web session. Nobody knows who he is. He joins Zoom. He jumps into the channel, and we just go from there and start playing. But it wasn't a smooth transition. I couldn't get everything.
My audio didn't work.
Run a million things.
That's my bad. We should have tested all that beforehand, but I didn't know that you guys were using Discord audio and things like that. So I was just like,
yeah. I'll fix that better for next time. So if you get past that part, then it's good. It is a combat heavy session. So for those of you, I think we got most of the rules right. There may have been one or two. I think Danimal went back and watched. He was asking about one or two rules, which is always cool. If you guys go back and because I'll miss things sometimes and I learn things or I forget things. So if you say, oh, this is how this works or this is how that works, because a lot of things are happening. What I didn't ask you on your character, so you were a 5th level character. I didn't ask what type of rogue you chose. What was the subclass?
Oh, thief. Yeah.
Oh, so you did go thief. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I wasn't sure.
He has like you can make a bonus action sleight of hand check and like interact with an object as a bonus action. And he had really high, or I think expertise in sleight of hand and thieves tools. So he was 100% just out for money. Yeah.
Cool. So then Wednesday night for me, so I DM that. I have a great game. I'm on a pretty big high, which is awesome. And then we get to Wednesday's night game, which is Tomb of Annihilation, another really fun. I'm going through this a second time. We get to a puzzle, and it's one of those real puzzles. Like they have a riddle on the wall. They need to do something in the room that pertains to the riddle, but they can't figure it out. And one of the characters looks towards my character and says, "What do you think, wizard?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And then they all look at me and they go, "Oh, you've already been in here before, haven't you?" No help from me. And they're like, "Okay, we'll figure it out." So everybody's been really good, even though I kind of know some of the things we're on, but we're about to be at the end of what I know. Like we've done some shrine stuff. I've done most of the shrine stuff in the original campaign I played. So we're about now to exhaust the knowledge I have of Tomb of Annihilation, which is exciting because I'm really getting into this level 7 war mage that I'm playing, and we've had some really tough fights where UNT are really nasty to fight. We fought a nice big Vegapygmy battle erupted at one point. And another thing that's happened that I thought was really fun with this group is they've done some really good talking to different factions and then trying to convince one faction to help us against another faction. So in this, I don't want to spoil it for those of you that might still play it or go back and play it, but it's cool to see them bump into or play with a party that does bump into a faction that you might normally just, if you're a murder hobo kind of party, you might just fight them. Like, so, oh, you see a group of 20 kobolds. What do you guys want to do? And this group will typically find a way to maybe talk to them or see what side they're on or figure out, well, if we like these guys, who's their enemy? Well, we'll help them against their enemies so that way they help us, even though we might not normally have allied ourselves with a kobold tribe or a goblin tribe or a UNT group or, whatever it might be that you might find when you do this. So I think that was really cool. We all have a lot of fun jokes because we have a turtle in the group, and we have a cool paladin that has a big giant moose as a mount called Chad. So there's lots of humor in the game, but there's also a lot of fun in combat. And Danimal, who's our Australian GM, has been doing a really good job. And he had a really fun kobold voice that he used for that session. And 2 players are in my Monday night session and play with me in Wednesday night. So Logan and Sasha play on Monday night where I'm the GM. And then they play as my party members on Wednesday night. And they had 2 kobolds that they were just like, this is like a kobold week for them. Like, we just got to meet really cool kobolds all week long. So it's been really funny. So that's been good. It's a great Tomb of Annihilation is still turning out to be a really fun adventure. For those of you that may have missed it or didn't go over it, I ran Storm King's Thunder, which I think has been pretty good. But I'm starting to lean towards, so far, Tomb of Annihilation has been about the best one they put out. Now, I'm sure Indoor will probably say Waterdeep Dragon Heist is the best one they put out for 5e so far. But for me, Tomb of Annihilation is really good, and I'm getting this itch to try to put my spin on it and maybe run it as a DM now that I played through it twice. It'd be interesting to see what my version of Tomb of Annihilation might look like down the road. But we've got so many other good ones coming out. I still haven't got into, Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Haven't got into Secrets of Saltmarsh or Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Still haven't got into a group that's going to play Descent into Avernus yet. So who knows when I'm going to actually play a Ravnica campaign or an Inc. campaign or a Strongholds and Followers.
That's
campaign.
The thing is we've just gotten so many modules lately, with
Ghosts of says
Saltmarsh.
Ghostmarsh. He thinks Ghostmarsh is the best one so far. Interesting.
I like Ghostmarsh a lot. Ghosts of Saltmarsh.
Yeah.
Words. Reading through that one, even though it is a collection of adventures, I really like the home base aspect of it. I like a lot of things that they can make Saltmarsh feel like a home for them. And that's kind of cool. And something they want to protect, as they navigate around and stuff. So
right.
Yeah,
that's cool. So that was really my week in Dungeons and Dragons. And many of you may be looking at your clocks and saying, well, man, Lucien just took up all the time. He never lets Jordan talk about all the Dungeons and Dragons he does. So let's clear the decks here. Jordan, tell us about all the Dungeons and Dragons you played this week.
I played Seeking Revonar. And we talked about that. No, some of my players, one of my players got married and went on a honeymoon. And so we just were lacking a player and things like that. So it's been really frustrating for them because we had that TPK and they want to know what happens, but we haven't been able to do anything yet, but it's given me a good amount of time to prep. And I ended up talking to the player that so I guess this isn't spoilers because none of you are playing in my game except maybe the one person that is listening.
So for all the people over in chat over on the left-hand side here that I'm looking at, you jump in the game?
No.
Do we see them?
Yeah, I know. But what I'm going to have them do, I think, is they're going to be captured by basically pirates or people of the high seas. Because that's who they were kind of fighting. And I think they're going to get captured by them. And so I had this idea of them waking up on a boat and we're going to see what happens on this boat. And if they try to escape, if they try to befriend them, if they try to join them, maybe I'm not sure what's going to happen. But I talked to one of my players who he was the only one that lost an actual character. And I said, do you want to be a captive as well? Or do you want to be part of the ship's crew? And he said, I want to be part of the ship's crew. So he's going to be on the crew, part of the ship's crew on the boat, etc. And how he interacts with them, I have no idea how this is going to happen. But the more I think about it, I'm like, this is why I love Dungeons and Dragons, because this TPK has put us in a situation where I have no idea how it's going to happen. We just have to improvise and go through it, and it's going to be so much fun. And I'm really, really excited for I was really sad when this TPK happened because I'm like, well, now we're not following the story anymore. But now that it has happened and I've had a chance to kind of formulate how I'm going to a plan going forward, I think that it's going to be really, really fun. So that's kind of what I did in D&D all week was I prepped that and talked with my players and kind of communicated with them. He lost a Dragonborn fighter and now is going to come back as a changeling bard. And so we'll see what happens. He's really excited. And then I got thinking, I'm like, do changelings make good bards? And you start going into my D&D Beyond and I start character crafting and I'm just like, this is awesome. So I think it's going to be really cool.
Oh, I think a changeling could do an awesome one-person comedy show as they switch from character to character.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I'm wondering if he's going to be like, yeah, I'm on the crew, and then he shifts his face to something else and pretends he's not on the crew. And I don't know. I'm really curious how... I have no idea what this player has planned, but he could just be really... really 100% on board with his crew, or maybe he wants to help these poor fools that got captured. Maybe he doesn't. And so it's going to be cool. So stay tuned next week for the Saturday morning D&D show, which I haven't talked to Lucien yet. I might not be here. So it might actually be 2 weeks before we can record that. But yeah, it's going to be lots of fun.
So that's the one you're running that used to be your Hot Springs Island.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we haven't really heard anything about. You were playing in a campaign.
Yeah, with my Warforged fighter named 7. Well, we didn't play that one either because people were missing. But that is going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow evening we're going to play that. So,
and is that a Forgotten Realms campaign or an Eberron
no,
campaign?
it's his own homebrew campaign. And I just said like, hey, can I be a Warforged? Like, I know you didn't plan this in your game, but he was like, no, yeah, you can totally be a Warforged. And so we agreed that there were like 7 or 8 of these robots. I think actually 12 now. We're slowly discovering more of these robots, but there were 12 of these robots created, and I'm number 7, which is why my name is 7. And Wizards created us, and so there aren't like, I'm not an entire species like I am in Eberron. You literally are these like offshoot constructs that were created by Wizards and stuff. Which has been kind of interesting because one of our players is a celestial warlock who follows this deity and really wants to convert others. And every time he tries to convert me, I'm just like, I have no, like, there's no soul to redeem. There's no afterlife for me. Like, I'm just a Warforged, whatever. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, he's not like, oh, okay. He's just like, well, you could still worship him. And I'm like, well, and so I don't know. That's kind of my mentality with that character, is that he doesn't have, any interest in deities because he's so out of touch for that. And I'm an Eldritch Knight, so it kind of makes sense. Like, a wizard created me, I'm able to cast a few wizard spells. Like, I very much am a creature of the arcane as opposed to a creature that is of the divine. So,
did we talk about how you narratively describe your spellcasting? How are you narratively describing it?
It's changed because a couple times originally it was like, 7 casts Featherfall, jets come out and like, slow down my thing. But we have been waiving that a little bit because when I realized I could cast Featherfall on like 5 creatures at once. And so I'm like, I don't know, I guess I like catch everybody and like Iron Man it, but it just like the math wasn't working out. So we were just kind of like, I don't know. It's just kind of, it's been more magical lately. But like I have lightning lure as a cantrip. So it was totally like 7 generates electricity all over his body and lightning pulls a creature towards him and things like that.
Cool.
And I think next level I'm going to get Mage Hand, and I'm going to flavor that as like my hand literally coming off and flying towards an object and like picking something up. So yeah. Yeah. Cool. And my players are in chat and they're like, well, you can still tithe even though you don't believe. And I'm like, yes, I could, but I also value my money. So it's okay.
And then the only other campaign that's been on hold now for a while is your level 11 or 12 campaign.
Level 11 campaign where they're in the Shadowfell. And that one, we have 1 session left of Betrayal Legacy, which has been the legacy version of Betrayal at House on the Hill that we've been playing, which has been so much fun. There was, I just have to tell you about this, but we played one game where we were all trying to figure out if we were clones or a real person. And it was a lot of like infighting between us and like arguing at the table where I'm like, you're a clone. And they're like, I'm not a clone. And I'm like, listen, guys, I know that I'm not a clone, but you're definitely a clone. That's been a lot of fun. But we have 1 session of that, and then we should get back to doing that campaign in the Shadowfell, which starts in the Shadowfell. They were in the desert. They got sucked through a portal, trying to make their way home to the coast of the Sword Coast. So
do you feel their excitement building to get back into it, or?
Yes and no. I think a few of them are just like really excited about where the story's going, but I think a few others are just kind of like, well, this was a nice break from D&D. I'm ready to play D&D again, but like, what's happening? I'm not sure. And like I was mentioning, I put I ended up putting all of my characters from that game, my players' characters, in D&D Beyond, because D&D Beyond is really good about not being able to cheat
right.
or make mistakes as you're building a character. And my poor wife's character, I like put it in D&D Beyond, and I'm like, this is all messed up. Like your dexterity should not be this low, and like, what is happening? So I'm glad that I did that, and I'm going to try and fix some of their characters because they've had the same characters for like almost 2 years now, and we've learned a lot more about how to build characters as we've gone along. So yeah.
I look forward to hearing more about the Corgi adventures.
Yeah, it'll be good. I think there's some summer vacations planned, so I'm not really sure if we're going to start immediately next week. But this, we should finish Betrayal this week, and then it's D&D after that. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Lots of good stuff. I'm excited. This summer has been really good. I'm going out to my pool every day and swimming, but while I'm sitting in there just hanging out in the awesome water, I'm thinking about campaign ideas.
Oh, I've been thinking about so many campaign ideas. Yeah.
So much stuff. I just got to
really
find
awesome.
the time to do all of it.
Yeah. And then I'm also playing in that Saturday original D&D BX D&D game, which I didn't get to play last Saturday because of a wedding, and I have another wedding to go to this Saturday, so that will happen next week. I'll get back to that game as well. So it was just like a not D&D week, but I got a lot of reading done, and I got a lot of like stuff prepped for Ghosts of Saltmarsh, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Cool. That's awesome.
All right.
Well, I think we hit our time limit.
That
perfectly.
is our show, ladies and gentlemen. I always need to do this. I have to go to show end. Okay, so that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Please leave us some iTunes reviews or Spotify reviews or Stitcher reviews or whatever podcast listening reviews you have. And you can share this episode with a friend if you're watching it on YouTube. We really appreciate it. Thanks again for catching us live Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific. And with that, I think we will take off until anything left to say, Mr. Lucien?
You can go ahead and put the link to our Discord channel for the Saturday morning D&D show Discord channel, and you can join that if you haven't.
It should be in the
conversation.
doobly-doo below, and you can chat with us.
Remember, for the comments, tell us what you think that Demogorgon really should have been for the Stranger Things, because I'd love to read that in the comments. So,
that'll be fun.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We will see you next week, or maybe in 2 weeks. I'll figure it out. But yeah. Next week is in flux, but another episode of the Saturday Morning D&D Show. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.